Welcome to the Tech on Toast podcast. We are the home of hospitality tech. Whether you're an operator wanting to untangle your tech or a technology provider wanting to join our community, we are the largest hospitality tech growth platform on the planet. The Tech on Toast podcast is brought to you today by Lightspeed. Lightspeed is the EPOS and payments platform that will help you scale your business at the speed of light. Trusted by over 170,000 businesses worldwide, including Big Mama, Mildred's, Mallow, and Cubit House. Lightspeed seamlessly connects to an ecosystem of integrated solutions such as OpenTable, Xero, Muse, and many more. Are you ready to take your hospitality business to the next level? With the Lightspeed unified platform, customers can shave seconds off each transaction and increase tips. Need a little support modernizing your tech stack? No problem. Want to scale your business? Get fast funding with Lightspeed Capital. No hidden fees or interest charges. Eligibility criteria and terms and fees apply. Get your demo today at www.lightspeedhq.co.uk/Tech on Toast. Now sit back and enjoy the show. Welcome to the next episode of the Tech on Toast podcast, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Nick Popovici, co-founder and CEO of Vita Mojo. Nick, how are you?
I'm good. Excited to be here.
I think Nick has the best podcast voice so far.
Oh, it's fake. It's
It's
AI.
very good.
It's
I think you're
AI.
going to get, if it all goes wrong with Vita, you'll be picked up as a late night DJ.
That's what I'm counting on.
So tell me a little bit first. I just want to understand, where are you from? Because your surname, Popovici, where does that generate from?
Yeah, so I was born in Romania.
Oh, right, okay.
That's where my parents. The name is Croatian. That's where my part of my heritage is from.
Wow, okay. And tell us a little bit about you before we get into, I suppose, Vita and product. Tell us a little bit about your journey. I know it's been a fun one the last 10 years.
Yeah, my journey started with, well, I'm not traditionally from the industry, although through college in America and after graduating from college, I worked in the industry. I managed a restaurant, but my dream was to work on Wall Street, and I got lucky and got a job there.
Wow.
New York, and that's where my career started. I did that for 8 years. I moved to London in the meantime, and I ended up getting sick one day. No one knew what was wrong with me. But long story short, I changed my diet, which changed my life. And I became obsessed and frustrated with our industry, with its specific lack of evolution. I couldn't eat out. I was impacted. This is well before any labeling laws came into place,
right,
such as allergens or ingredients or etc. And Vita Mojo was born together with my co-founder Stefan out of the desire to help better the industry and use technology as a vessel for that.
Yeah, and I think you guys are really rare because actually what you did to start out with, and when I first met you guys, it can't be 10 years ago, it was a while ago anyway, but you started out with your own restaurants, didn't you? Where you really kind of put your money where your mouth is, as it would be with the tech.
Yeah, exactly. So because building tech in isolation or in an office isn't really how great tech is built, we ended up, operating our own restaurants, starting that with the desire to grow that as a brand and make it very successful and build tech at the same time. And we, happy to say we managed to do that. We did a better job on the software than on the operating in the restaurants. And so, now we're partners. But yeah, we built a tech that wished existed, right? We didn't start by saying we know everything. We said, hey, there's this problem we're having on the layer between the customer, the guest, and the operator. There's lack of transparency. The interaction in the QSR space is really lacking. There's no story, there's no brand building, there's really just, at best, a fake smile, at worst is an attitude, right? So it was like, how do we, in the world of digital, how do we do justice to the brand, the story, the provenance, the ingredients, the allergens? How do we actually elevate and create an immersive experience? And that's where it started. And we started pulling on that string, and the rest is history.
The rest is history, as they say. No, it's in a truly, I suppose, omni-channel is a word that's thrown around a lot. Like, it's a truly omni-channel world now, right? That we were just talking before we came on air about the different ways that an operator could react back in the day and how they'd go after new custom. But you guys are really enabling through the product, I suppose, the end-to-end order management. In terms of, and you've got some great. I'm just looking here. You've got Yo, Leon, Honest Burgers, some really cool customers on your books already. Can you give us, I suppose, your best pitch of what the product does for you, and I suppose the different attributes of it? We'll get into it in more detail, I'm sure, but kind of where do you think really Vita sits in the market right now, and what are you doing to help operators?
Yeah, the where we ended up on, and this was both the solution that we as operators 5 years in ended up landing on, and what we do now is a one order management system. So what this means, which is kind of new words and buzzwords, so I'm just going to try to break it down on each part, is instead of patching together what is a misconception of a best of breed of different ordering channels, different technologies, trying to create what inevitably becomes a Frankenstein of a solution when it comes to order management, we provide that one platform. Now I'm going to describe what this order management chain looks like, right? So it starts all the way at order taking. So when it's furthest away from the restaurant are delivery platforms, or your desire to sit at home and order from a restaurant, whether it's through Deliveroo, Uber Eats, DoorDash, whatever, Just Eat, or directly from the restaurant. We facilitate that either by interacting directly with the third-party marketplaces or a white label delivery option. Then, there's have an app where you can order and click and collect your order as you're going into a station or going to, to pick up your lunch on the way to the office or breakfast or your coffee. Then in restaurant ordering on a kiosk, so it's a self-checkout kiosk, a point of sale, a really world-class point of sale. And this is what we call the ordering channels, right? So these are all the different ways you can order, right? From a human with a POS, EPOS in the UK, kiosk, click and collect, delivery, third-party marketplaces, or even catering, which is another way of ordering, right? The second part is really the making of the food. So this is a kitchen management system that allows for aggregating all those orders, managing capacity from all those orders, because it's quite different now to manage capacity. When before you had, in QSR, you had lines of people waiting, and casual dining or fast casual, you had the number of waiters taking orders. It was a capacity management system. Well, that doesn't exist anymore, right? You can get as many orders as they come on delivery at the same time. People can pre-order a day ahead. You can, that is a challenge, right?
Yeah, it's mind-blowing, isn't it, the way that because if you think of that, the airline industry and some of the other burgeoning industries that have used tech really well, that the way they manage capacity, or the way they went, almost like hotels where they manage, how many people are staying in the rooms. I think we were the last bastion, right? The restaurants were the last people really to look at it and go, how do we accommodate that? And that's what you're doing, I suppose, aren't you? I love the way you described it from the furthest away. So you've got your delivery, then you move closer and closer to actual being on premise. I think that's probably the best way I've heard it described in a while, which is really interesting. And how, I'm going to take you totally off top, but how are you received, I suppose, when you're approaching that problem? Because we just spoke before about restaurants understanding their problems before they come to a tech supplier and all this kind of stuff. How are you being received when you're trying to approach those? Are you doing more of a discovery process with these restaurants, or do they know where they're at already, or is it a mix of both?
Yeah, I think the industry is, technology for the hospitality industry, like true technology, beyond the point of sale, is new, right? It's about 5 years old, right?
It's nothing, is it?
It's so, and that's because the world changed super fast, right? And the C word thing that happened, right? Like it moved things really fast, right? Much faster than otherwise. So it's a new thing, and I think what we're finding is in the market, a lot of when operators go to market to buy technology, they really are uninformed, and I mean this kindly. So they have the curse of knowledge. They know what they know, and they think what they need is, I want what the other brand has, or you know what, I have this problem, this problem, and I want to patch fix this problem. And then they go, and then I have this problem, I need this problem fixed. And what's lacking is a step back and looking holistically, and it's like, who do I want to be? What kind of brand am I? Where are my customers? Yeah,
where's my furthest away customer, and how are they interacting with this? Because I think that's part of the problem sometimes, understanding that customers have become, they can be anyone now. It's not just in front of your face anymore. They start on Google and they work all the way through, right? So it's how do you find them? Or Instagram, you find these new customers everywhere, and how are they servicing them? And I think that is a big challenge, isn't it? It's a big challenge being able to kind of take that problem, especially if you don't have I suppose a CTO or a head of projects or a head of insight or whatever it might be. If you're an ops director who've landed with the problem of buying some new tech, it's a challenge.
It's a challenge. And so what we're seeing is, they go out to market with RFPs or requests that are not helping themselves because they're either pigeonholing something they know or a solution they imagine can exist, which is not helpful. Or they're overbuying tech. What they're doing is they're buying substandard technology. They didn't think it through. Then they buy some other thing to make up for the problems of that. Then now they have the third piece of technology. So they're overpaying. They have way too much technology, and they have this kind of, I mentioned, being Frankenstein of a thing because it never really took a second to just map out their brand experience, the journey, what do they need, what are the challenges. So my invitation to everyone is to articulate, when you go to market and buy tech, articulate the problems that you have. Just be open and candid with them, and then let the suppliers filter in and out. I can solve that problem.
Yeah.
Rather than, I need this feature. And I was like, well, yeah, but why? And will that feature actually solve your problem or not?
And sometimes those features can unfortunately add more problems, right? Depending on what, because you're right. I suppose the want or the need or the accessibility, I suppose, to great tech. Let's be honest, tech is great now. There's a lot compared to where we were even 5 years ago. Most of these tech guys out there are producing some fantastic, tech that can automate what people don't want to do. But I think the problem with it is, with that accessibility comes some poor buying or some poor decision making, and often the responsibility will sit with the operator to make those decisions. And it's difficult because you've got, umpteen, I've got 110 people on the marketplace who sell hospitality tech. So it becomes difficult, that decision making. So I just think it's interesting that you cover such a breadth of that order process. And I suppose you have that responsible accountability to be able to help these people through that process. And from what we spoke about before, I understand that you guys are quite consultative in that approach when you're dealing with new customers.
Yeah, and because one of the things we look at is, okay, we've had, and this has happened, right? Like, we've had customers that weren't a good match for us, and a couple of years in or a year in, they're like, this is not a good match.
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time analyzing, like, how did this happen? How did we get there? What can we learn? We never want to have a take on a client that we cannot make actually successful. And when we looked and reviewed the data, it showed very clearly that the customer was very deterministic about, I need these things, like, we offer those things, but out of the level of detail, the nuance or the problems weren't evident. And between that, we sold them what they said they needed, but that's not what they actually needed. Yeah. And therefore that wasn't good, right? Now I want to give an example because it's maybe too theoretical right now.
Sure.
Not about customers buying the wrong thing, but just an example of making siloed individual incremental decisions as opposed to holistic decisions. So you would end up with, I already have a POS. I don't need another POS, right? I don't EPOS in the UK. I'm going to call it POS from now on. So it's not people don't mix it up. I don't mix it up anymore. So I don't have POS. I just need to have a good delivery platform. I'm going to do my own delivery, or so then they buy a piece of technology that does that. They go, great, this is great. My labor costs are high. I'm a quick service. I really need kiosks. So they go, great. Now I just need kiosks. Right? So we buy a kiosk suppliers. We tender for it. We find the best one, the best price, the best looking, the best integrated, whatever. And now, then you buy someone. In the meantime, you have all this integration deal with. So you buy a middle person that helps you kind of bridge all this integrations, right? And so now you end up with a fragment tech stack, right? And one of the challenge, A, it's very expensive to run. B, it's a lot of manual work to update menus, to manage 5 different platforms, to deal with it.
And you need a person, right? So you need
a team. Yeah. The big brands have between 3 to 8 people that are just managing keeping together this technology, right? Small business maybe do it 1.5 people, but it's really it's an labor type. The challenge is they don't have a single source of truth. They don't have one menu. They have 6 menus, right? And so just bringing it to life, right? So imagine a world where you could decide that you're changing your menu and put it in one place. Write a thing, press one button, and that updates everything all at once. All the different channels, the delivery platforms, the kiosks, the loyalty app, everything happens at once. Whether it's the brand, you decide to update, refresh your brand, or change a like just one place, one click, upload, one click, it all changes.
And that's the true art of solving a problem, right? Isn't it? Where you like you just said there, it was quite theoretical the way we were talking, and then you talk about an actual issue like changing fries, or changing the price of fries, or changing the type of fries,
or even running out of fries.
Or running out of fries, God forbid.
Yeah, well, the burger place, that'll be very difficult. But, you're running out of stuff that, the second or third most popular item, you run out of it on a busy day. What happens? You're trying to, oh my God, I got to go into the Uber Eats tablet to take it off. I got to go into the Deliveroo tablet and Just Eat. I got to get a login down for the kiosk. We didn't have this problem 5 years ago. People would walk in. I was like, I would like fries. Oh, sorry.
We don't have them.
We don't have them.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't exist. So we need technology that does that. But if you're not holistically thinking about it, you end up with this.
And it's true time saving. I think this is what I was trying to kind of articulate, that actually when you've got great tech and it's solving a problem, I always talk about ROI. It's so hard. I was saying I'm doing an RFP with a lady at the moment. We're doing for workforce management, and we're looking at what the return on investment will be for, and what are the advantages of going through all this pain of buying something and change, and ROI, and most of it comes down to time saving and where you can redeploy that labor into some other part of your business, or save the labor, right? Depends where you're at. But I think that example you gave there of the menu management is a single clear example of saving time. And I'm pretty sure you could measure that as a metric somewhere, or work out.
Oh, hugely, yeah.
And not just time, but customer experience. Like you say, the fries example, that you're not upsetting people because it's not there. So, people aren't ordering.
Yeah, or what happens, and I'm sure this happened to you, you've ordered something on Deliveroo, Uber Eats, Just Eat, and you get home, you get it delivered and the item is missing.
Yeah.
So you get, oh, sorry, this was missing. Sorry, we ran out of this. We swapped it for the other thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
I don't want the other thing.
It's like, I really don't want the other thing because I'm not going to eat it. So now I'm sitting with this guilt food in front of me that I don't want. But why? Because at the moment of ordering, they didn't log into the Uber Eats tablet to take it off, right? Like that's a problem. If it's not easy, so the ROI is pretty clear. The employee satisfaction is up, right? It's just something that works. It's a car that you can get in and just drive, as opposed to a bunch of parts you're constantly like tweaking, adjusting, putting together, filling with oil and greasing, right? And so the employee satisfaction is higher. Their productivity at work is higher. The customers are getting the right thing very often, and staff don't need to stay up in work, like wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning when menu change day is, to end up updating all the menus before they open. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, and I think, and what operators always surprise you, that they will find a way of fixing something, right? Whether it's the right way or wrong way, or it takes too long to do, but they're fixers. That's what they do, right? They fix problems. And I find a lot of the stuff that the tech guys saying, look, you can just do this. It's really simple. You can just plug it in and go, and you can say, oh no, but we've got a way of doing this with X, Y, Z, and Jack does this and Mary does that. So I just think it's that education piece from what you do, and I know you guys have been doing a lot of that through the insight you've been producing. But one of the big advantages of using a product like yours is profitability, right? Is that actually, because again, we talk about go back to ROI, but leading down to kind of driving profit to the bottom line is probably the key metric I would kind of buy on. How are you doing that for your customers? And I suppose, I don't know if you can't share actual examples, but what's the closest you can give us to an example of how that's working for some of your customers?
Yeah, sure. No, we have, with the agreement of customers can share some stuff, and we're public because we're doing this. We really want to inspire the industry to show what's possible, right? I think we were blessed again to be, two technologists starting a restaurant business and having the luxury of being able to deal with operational problems and solving them with software. And we see our mission is here, just inspire, right? Like, sure, buy from us because we're best match, but like, just do this. Like, I want the industry to thrive. I love it so much, and it makes me so sad when I see good businesses go out of business because they couldn't crack the profitability code, right?
Yeah.
And so I'll start. I think we operate on different levels. So I'll start with probably the easiest one to understand. Again, starting from the guest, right? So what we help is with menu architecture, because it's digital, or even on the pause, we end up helping upsell or find the items that they really want in the menu. So driving average check size higher, we see a range between 15 to 35% higher consistently when people are ordering on digital screens, whether it's their mobile, scan a QR code and pay, or versus a waiter, or on a kiosk versus a person at the POS. We've done that consistently with, different brands are different. Leon is a published case study, a 15% increase in average spend since the day one, and it's maintained, right? So if you ordered on the screen, you do that. What are they buying more of? Well, weirdly enough, it's the impulse section. It's the things that we thought digitally never going to work because, if you didn't see him, every brand would do the impulse section right by checkout because that was the thing. We're trained to ignore it, but on a screen it appears differently, especially if it's not like, here's 40 items. We do, here's 3 items that pair really well based on what you've already selected in your basket. And that is helpful for them. They go like, oh yeah, it really did. Wow, that's pretty good. I'll have that.
I'm a big Leon customer, and I'm a big fan, and I am buying extras there all the time, purely because of that. And I think I find kiosk ordering really interesting in terms of the way that we behave without a waiter in front of us, and the way there must be some psychology. I'm sure you guys have looked into it at some point. There must be some psychology why we feel more comfortable buying that extra thing and we don't really think about budget in that moment. We're just thinking about, I like that, I want that. Whereas with a waiter, you almost feel that you're going to order the one thing and stick.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's the company we keep or why we do it.
It is the company we keep is afraid of being judged. It's also the time pressure. So what happens when you order, they've done a lot of research into this, but when you're sitting in a queue and about to order, there's people behind you, there's a person in front of you, you feel time pressured. We've seen that when people order digitally, whether it's again in a fast casual dining environment on their mobile, on a kiosk, or they order slower, they take more time, they discover the brand better and the menu better, then they end up buying more, just simply by the fact that they're not time pressure or judged.
Yeah.
Right? So it's at a time pressure or judgment of, if I upsize this one, I'm going to think I'm, I'm indulging, or I'm like,
You can call me fat, it's fine.
Never. So so that's one reason, right? So, and then of course, most digital solutions would offer some version of this, i.e. the time pressure element. Everyone offers it with digital, but how intelligent it is, how the user experience is driven, how responsive it is, that's kind of where we differentiate, and the magic is. And
I love that example you gave of 3 versus 10 additional items potentially, because I think you're entirely right. It's narrowing down decision making is what we want as humans. We need the help right just to get to that, and especially if you can start. I don't know how clever this becomes at some point, where it starts being to what you've bought previously, or being able to kind of predict what you're going to buy or what goes well with that dish,
and weather, and all those things are. So when we were operators, right, we were noticing. I'm a data geek, so we're noticing patterns that we can explain. For example, fun fact: broccoli had 200% more sales when it was raining in rainy days than not. And we're like, why is broccoli outselling?
Was it quite common? Was it regular though?
Regular. This is statistically significant data. We're talking about many.
This is going to be the best finding on the Tech and Toast podcast where this is going. Let's see.
So we're scratching our brain. We're looking at research, trying to Google, going through it's like, why is broccoli? What does it do? You can't actually find a reason for it, and.
Now you've disappointed me. I thought you could come up with some
I don't
amazing
know why,
reason.
but it's true that people prefer broccoli when it's raining. And I don't know, there's someone out there in the world, I'm sure, knows the answer. But it didn't matter finding why. We just mattered that we could identify that, and therefore you could, and you can in the future. You can look at weather and patterns and make the menu more relevant digitally, because. The weather's outside. You know what the customers
load
buy.
up on broccoli when it rains.
Yeah, feature broccoli, right?
I know. I think some of the things that data doesn't have to be, you don't need a data analyst half the time. You just need to know, right? And you need to see patterns. And I think that's a really good example. And when we ran, I worked at Hard Rock Cafe, we used to have huge make tables within our business. And we do a line check, 150 items every morning when we taste every bit of food. But we would know based on weather, based on event, based on occasion, based on day of the week, actually, when the Cobb salad would sell more or when the ribs would sell more, right? And but we would know it rather than prove it. Does that make sense? As if we'd have like a gut feeling, we know on a Tuesday that does well. But I think now the difference that operators have is that ability to actually say, no, we actually know. This isn't just Chris's gut anymore. This is actual data proving that broccoli sells well on a Tuesday when it's raining, which is madness. And you guys are providing that, right? I'm guessing
we're providing.
I guess there's some smart back end to this, which shows people that kind of data.
Correct. Yeah. So we started explaining the solution from the guest side. Or furthest away, though, step 1, 2 is making it, and this is a kitchen management system, different zones, different parts of the order go to different people, capacity management. But step 3, which you're just alluding to, and that completes kind of order management, is really the thoughtfulness of insight that we can provide. This is beyond the X and Z reports. This is beyond the regular reporting that you expect. This is about customer patterns. This is about how many new customers did you get this week? How many returning customers you got this week? What were the returning customers buying, right? Like what's happening? That level of detail provides operator with a insight that, as you said, really good operators on instinct alone would be able to do that. But we're doing that for every location you have around the country, or the world really now, how that's varied, what it is, what's happening, without you needing to have a system of people that is getting that information, channeling up all the way to the people doing new product development, right? We're creating that on a dashboard that you can see.
Yeah, I'm laughing to myself because when we used to write budgets, I was at Carluccio's and we used to write budgets, and we used to have big budget meetings, and we had to bring on my GMs because they knew the ground, right? Which is important. They had to be involved in the budget making, but without their knowledge, not the data, without their actual knowledge of Mrs. Smith on a Tuesday coming in, it was very hard to write their budgets for them. But now you can, without being rude to the general managers, based on real cold data, you could probably just write the budget for them, with some input, at some point. But that's how powerful it is.
It's powerful. And I think you touched on something, I think, without being rude to the manager, I have to say that it's like it's not technology or human. I really think is technology plus human equals the best. I think it's a really key concept that we take internally. It is let the technology do the things it's really good at, and let the humans do the things they're really good at, rather than asking humans to do repetitive data entry, multiple menu management, keeping systems together, integrate, like all those things. Technology are vastly superior, right? Yeah. When it comes to interacting with guests, with welcoming, with empathy, with emotion, with humor, with warmth, like technology is terrible at that, right? And so I just see a world where we help, technology is focused on all the transactional elements and automating a lot of the things, whether it's transactions for the guests or whether it's transaction for the staff, right? Like they have to do different bits. Oh, I got to click on all these things to make that happen. I got to figure out what to order. I got to figure out that those are transactions, right? And then there's experiential bits, right? This is the human high engagement bit. So I think technology has the place and the opportunity to make all the transaction stuff automated and simple, enable, and just allow the humans to do the best. Like technology is mediocre at best at creating new recipes and new flavors and new tastes, right? But a human that uses technology to do that can be vastly superior to just a human or just technology, right? So
100%.
That's our mission, right? It's like, how do we get technology to do that, to allow humans to do what they're best at?
And I interrupted you during your bit. We were talking about ATV, but I met is it Neil from Toast?
Yep.
When we did the panel in January, and he was also talking about ATV increases from you guys, and he was talking about, I think, more about customization in ordering and more around what advantages that had given him, because his business alludes to that.
Yep.
Is that something you guys see as a bit, I suppose, a big competitive advantage that you can enable people to do that?
Yeah. So just for were record tossed, so a 21% increase in the average spend from switching to Vita Mojo from another tech provider. All right, so and that's, they already had tech, everything was digital, but it's like not all technology is born equal. We understood again, because we were operators, we understood that everyone is very similar, but also a little different. Yeah. And the little different is everything. Because if you don't differentiate, it's a very tough market. There's a lot of options for people to eat and drink. And if you don't differentiate, whether it's menu structure, whether it's many bundles or deals, or to menu architecture, that's really the word for it, right? Or the guest interaction, how people perceive value, price. If you don't differentiate one way or another on any of those axes, you don't really have a business, right? Yeah. Because a product can be amazing, and just the product being amazing isn't enough to have a very successful business, right? You need to be differentiated in one way or another. So, because everyone has pretty good products, right? Yeah. So we understood that being just a little different is an important bit. Right. And so when we work with operators, we don't go, here, we build this thing, you have to work like this. We actually build a solution that is highly customizable, highly flexible, that allows them to work with the way they want to build their brand. Right. So instead of saying, I want my brand, my menu, my brand, instead of, we can't do that, you have to do it like this. Our answer is,
your logo can't go on that side. It has to,
not just look and feel, but also like menu architecture, how the different elements are displayed on the combo. Can you have the third option, the fourth option? Things that if we were talking and you had taken my order would be super easy for you to do, but very hard for technology to handle, right? So one of the, we work with Subway, and
congrats on that, by the way.
Thank you.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, I'm bringing this up because it's just very relevant to the point about customization. Virtually no one had an off-the-shelf, already built a solution that can handle Subway's customization. They told us after we won, it was everyone was willing to try to do something for us, but you're the only ones that
are doing it.
You're already doing it, and you're already doing it for 10 years. So, the trust that we can have on someone that can handle that level of customization. No one can handle the Subway menu. Just think about that. No one can handle the Subway menu out there because why? It's just, I want a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit more sauce, a bit less sauce.
Yeah, different size bread, different make bread, yeah.
With different pricing and, things change and, and toasted, not toasted, right? So it sounds simple. Why can't technology do it? Right? And for us, we always build a technology around knowing that everyone is different. You have to offer different solution, make it super customizable to each brand. Otherwise, you're going to have very dissatisfied customers.
I love that. It's the nature of going out, right? Hospitality is the nature of why we come to venues like this today, or different venues in the business, for those nuances, for just something a little bit different. I'm bored of eating at home. I want to go to Honest Burger. I want to go to Brewdog, whatever it might be. You just want to go and do something different. And I think if we can't represent that digitally, then it becomes a bit of a lost game, right? We kind of, I don't know what the American term is for losing a baseball game or something, but it's not going well. Was it end of the fourth? I don't even know. I'm not even going to attempt to get that right. But let's do it for an English one. We're at the end of the second half and we're 3-0 down. It's not going to work, right?
It's not going to work.
So so I think it's really interesting that you guys think like that, because, and if the whole organization thinks like that, then from the front to the back in terms of sales to development, then it becomes really powerful, because you're actually addressing what they love about their business as well. Because that's what, if you work for a restaurant chain, you love your people and your food and your brand. You don't, the tables and chairs, whatever, you can stick them anywhere. But they love that bit that's special about them. So I think that's a really cool thing to do. Yeah,
and it's had its challenges, right? It's I think
I bet it's a nightmare.
It's not it's not a free lunch, so to say, right?
Yeah.
And one of the challenges is when it comes to buying decisions, a lot of people go can you do this? Can you do this, this, and this? And we're like, yeah, we can do this. And actually, the other two things you asked for are solved by an upstream thing that don't even need to be solved. And because it's holistic, it's customizable, but it's also thoughtful, right?
Yeah.
So it's not customizable in ways that don't solve actual problems, right?
Yeah.
It's customized in ways that addresses each individual problem. So people go like, okay, so you don't solve these 3 problems, then I don't want to talk to you. But like, what I'd love to explain to you why that's not those 2 things, not actually a problem, right? But if we just go higher upstream, that problem is solved, right?
And also sometimes problem 2 and problem 3 are often caused by the results of problem 1, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's the hardest thing, because you can't, as an operator, you can't envisage that being fixed in your daily life, because operators just find a way. They're like dinosaurs. They just kept finding a way of going, right? They keep finding a way. And I think when they meet tech suppliers, they're like, but how? How can you just fix that and then my life will be easy? So it's that visualization of it, understanding how it would work, and then potentially those other 2 things that are a really big issue right now because of the really big problem might just drift away a little bit, or we'll find an easier way to do that internally, that the tech doesn't have to solve that. So I always think it's that open-mindedness, and it starts at the problem, right? As you said right at the start, it's before you start an RFP, before you try and fix a tech solution problem, what is your issue? What is your problem? Don't worry about the tech guy yet. Just write it all down. I said to someone the other day, write 20 questions down, all the stupid questions you can think of, and form it into some kind of project, and then go to market.
Yeah.
And then let the guys do the work, because they're smart people, and they will tell you yes or no if this will work.
Yeah, and obviously, Chris, I'm just so impressed the work that you and the team are doing.
You.
Honestly, the industry needs this so much. We just see so many suboptimal buying decisions that end up in, we've had, I'm not going to name names, but we've had, we pitched for a point solution for someone. We didn't win it because someone was, would undercut on price or do something that just wasn't economical. It's like, it's not viable long term. We cannot do it, right? We're here for the long term. We've been here for 10 years. We're going to be here another 10 years. And 10 years after that, we're not, we cannot sign up to doing things that don't make sense. And then, then they go back to market and they ask for another thing. We pitch for that. We also don't get it. Like, oh man, like we really understand your problems, but you're asking the wrong things, or you're optimizing for the wrong things. And then to get a call like, a year later, be like, we're so sorry. We just realized we went down this road. We're stuck. Can you help? We're desperately, this whole thing is cracking.
Yeah.
We can't, it's going down. Because what happens when you put 4 or 5 operators that does your order management system, which are made out of, again, this misconception of best of breed, putting it together, in maybe in theory is best of breed, in practice is really difficult. The chance of it going down or something going wrong is exponential, because if you have a thing made out of 4 pieces, and each piece, has once a year a problem, have 4 times a year a problem, right?
Yeah.
And that's them independently, but then also they have codependencies against them. So there's another 4 codependencies. So you have 8 times more problems with something made out of 4 parts than 1 part, right? And so, there's a business that's struggling. It's really critical moment. They're really need help. Can you help us out? We understood how this was, bad, and right to help, but you've just signed this 3-year contracts with 4 companies. It's I can't work for free, but so we found a way, but it happens.
Yeah, and I think if you're a sailor, or trust me, I'm going somewhere. So if you're sailing or whatever, you have your North Star, right, or you follow north, whatever it might be, wherever you're going, and you keep it in the center of mind all the time. And with these projects, what we're saying to our customers are just that problem you start with. Don't get distracted. Don't look at the shiny bells and whistles sometimes that you can do as well as what you've got. Fix that problem at this RFP. Do not leave the room until you've definitely fixed that problem. And then, by all means, move on to the next thing, because I had one customer who wanted to change 12 solutions at once. Was quite committed to do it, wanted me to do it for them, basically. And we just said, no, that's crazy. I said, you're talking, this looks like a 3-year project all in all with all these things. So let's just fix the biggest problem for you. And let's see how you are then. Because you might come out of that and think, do you know what? My CRM's okay. I don't really need to change it. Maybe I was just getting exacerbated by the fact that my EPOS wasn't working or whatever it might be. So it's just, it just depends what the problem is, but it's just keeping that thing in the headlights, right? That one problem you've got to fix. And I don't think it's easy, right? Everyone's time poor. There's lots of challenges. Headwinds galore, right? Pick one. I mean, look at Brewdog today, brilliant building. There's no one here, right? And it's midday. I'm sure it'll be busy later, but it's really hard out there, and I think don't make it harder for yourself.
Yeah, don't make it hard for yourself.
Because that's what you just described.
Yeah, and sometimes people, because we're under pressure, results matter, the economy is the economy. Don't rush into making, patch micro decisions. Like, take a minute, an hour, a week to think holistically about where do you want your business to be, where are you driving the business, and then if you are starting from scratch, who would you partner with, and then go to the solution finding as opposed to just knee jerk.
Yeah, and I think you see a lot more. I was saying a lot more roles now. Head of projects. JKS have a head of projects.
Yeah.
I met Tommy last week from Honest Burger, who you know very well, and Tommy's now similar position where he looks at Tommy Tech, I call him, looks after all the tech.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy. I mean, what an energy as well. He's a great guy. But like, it's just those roles seem to be becoming more common, which says to me that operators are aware of that the shift is happening in terms of technology for their business operationally, and I think it's a really smart play to put those kind of individuals, because it gives you guys one source of truth, and it gives the operator one source of truth for.
Yeah, you can just finger right on the pulse there, right? The biggest challenge is the lack of, it's not CTO, but CIO, a lack of in-house experience with buying technology, managing technology. That's what's lacking. And why? Because it's a new thing, right? It's like, again, we're 5 years.
Yeah, and these roles are 1 year. I think JK, I was talking to Brendan about it, and he just said, his role at start was just projects galore, but now he has a system where he's working across all the different verticals, all the different tech guys, and he's got control of it. And I think prior to that, it must be madness. And even a CTO, right? Because CTO is generally an enterprise role. They must have the world at their feet, as in lots of stuff going on. They need a team as well. So it's very interesting. I think it will move more and more into that. Mid-market guys will head of projects. Those kind of roles will become more common.
The operators that are going to be successful, for the next 5 years are the ones, and it's clear to us, we're seeing it, is the ones that are doing two things. One, they invest in having that person running digital or running technology or just being coherent. Technology is not a sideshow. It is the show now.
Yeah.
And two, not only are they running well, but they're agile and taking the inputs and reacting to them. The knee-jerkiness is better served at looking at statistically significant data, making decisions how to take pricing or menu items, opening hours, shift staff around, and using data to inform that, right? So the winners do those things well, and the ones that have it, we're just seeing the data. It's just they are week in, week out.
Yeah.
To use a American expression, kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I'm running out of time with you because you're interesting. But with the operational efficiency, because I want to touch this very quickly, because you guys aren't just dealing with orders. You're also dealing with what comes, because it's like a sieve, isn't it? Restaurants, you pour in all the money at the top, and then slowly it all disappears through different areas. In terms of operational efficiency, labor cost, food cost, you're tackling all of those things as well, right?
Correct. Yeah. So let me let me answer your question straightforward, right? So grow the average spend, great, you got that. But it's the operational excellence which leads into lower labor costs, and that's whether it's because the staff is freer, don't have to do so many transactional things, right? And they can operate they can be more productive, right? So therefore, labor costs are lower, right? Or there's this throughput in the kitchen is much higher because instead of spending a lot of time, the staff spending a lot of time managing different systems, different technologies, dealing with errors or menus, they actually just focus on doing the good thing that they're good at. Food wastage is down. And a really, really big one, which is really underappreciated, errors for delivery orders go down significantly. And that's a big one because the marketplaces for food delivery are really good at when someone complains that they have a missing item, which I think is 1 in 4 orders or something like that. They automatically charge the restaurant, right? And that's very painful because, they ship the food, they spend the labor hours on those people, they spend the money on the food, and they get charged back, and they have very little very little course of action to it, right? And why is because they're shipping errors. Why are they shipping errors? Why it's chaos in the kitchen. B, the systems they have are not empowering them. They're not designed in such a way to reduce the errors that they're making or to facilitate them. Easy to double check. Do I have a checklist? How is everything coming together? The printed tickets, that whole end-to-end design of that experience is not thought through, right?
Yeah.
So humans make errors, but if you help them, they make a lot less errors, right? So you help them reduce errors, help reduce food wastage, help them reduce labor costs, increase average spend, and therefore throughput is also increased as a result of staff being productive.
And that's back to your capacity point before. We were talking about the fact that all of a sudden our capacity, we get more of it because we've got more time on our hands and we're actually doing the things that are important. Yeah, love it. And moving you on to the future, while I still have you, you've had a cracking year. I'm just looking at some of these. So Restaurant Marketer and Innovator Award, Deloitte Technology Fast 50. You've been getting all the accolades. What does the future not just look like for Vita, but what do you think about tech generally for the next, I suppose, if you look in the next 12 months?
Yeah, I think data is an important and increasingly important thing. And again, I'm not talking about having a lot of data. I'm talking about being able to highlight and showcase the relevant data. But for us, I have to say I don't have a canned answer to everything that we're doing because over 80% of everything that we develop is driven by our customers, right? Our customers tell us what they need, right? And it's not I want you to move that button, I want to do that, but it's more like engaging with them and having conversation about their business. What problems are they having? What problems are they seeing? Okay. Then us designing solutions to do that, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times when people call you ask for a feature, they ask for a faster horse. We're in the business of building cars, right? Not faster horses. So what's coming up is really that deep partnership, more and more partnership. We're actually launching, formalizing this as a group, as a client advisory group, where we're meeting with our clients, starting with a smaller group and then a bigger group and another group. We're meeting and getting close to each other and really like exchanging ideas because we're here to help the industry thrive.
Yeah.
Really, we're here to turn chaos into confidence, and we're here to help everyone thrive. So the best way we know about it is to just listen more, be closer to our customers, and seek for the problem, not the solution from them, and then build them the car that they need.
Love that. I could do with a new car. I'll let you know. Look, I think it's really interesting. 10 years of hard work, I imagine, for you, especially in your co-founder, just building this thing from scratch. And I think, your successes for all to see so far. So congratulations. And actually a lovely bunch of people when I meet the guys from Vita Mojo, from Nick Little, from the rest of his team. All just seemed really cool people, right? And we were talking about hiring people before, saying, how hard it is sometimes to find great people. So congratulations on that as well. Look, if people want to get hold of you and find out more about Vita, can they stalk you on LinkedIn or how do they get hold of you?
I think the best, it's a mystery. You figure it out. Challenge, throw a gauntlet out there, and then I think best vitamojo.com. There's contact us buttons. You can try on me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to chat. Email, what you can
carry a pigeon, whatever.
Yeah, whatever works. Reality is I'm one person, and there's 140 people in the company. So if you engage through the official channels, then there's a chance there's a chance you get a response than just all to me. But I'm happy to help as much as I can.
That's really cool. And what does your day look like when you're not? Do you get up to anything when you're not? I mean, I don't think you're ever not working, but just, do you have anything you look forward to outside of Vita Mojo on your day off or anything like that?
My recent acquired hobby in the last 5-6 years is surfing, and
very cool. In
yes.
the UK?
Yes, in the
Wow.
UK. Well, I live in London, but actually, just outside of Bristol, there's a man-made pool called The Wave.
Yeah, I know the owner. Yeah.
And so it was Father's Day, and recently, and I spent a Sunday there
very cool.
surfing. So, yeah.
Well, he was meant to open in London. They were looking at Madrid, London.
Yeah, they are opening. They are going to open in London. I think, I don't know how many years, 2 years away, something like that.
Yeah,
But they also open in London.
It's very cool. It's very cool. And I won't talk about that, but he talked about something called Blue Medicine. The founder, he had a stroke when he was building that in
really?
Bristol, and he spent the pandemic cleaning the sides of the pool with a brush whilst he had his stroke, and it brought him, and the water, he believes, brought him back to full health.
Wow, I didn't know
I did a podcast
this.
with him during the pandemic. He's an
I
amazing
gotta find
guy.
that.
He's a proper surfer. He like looks like the real deal. But yeah, great story, and great product they've got there, and they're going to do it all over the world apparently. So
It's incredible.
Inner city kids get to surf, right? I mean, how cool is that?
It's so cool, and I do have to say it's an amazing place to go to, because just from a brand experience, everything. Forget the surfing element, which is really cool, but it's just every single touch point of the brand. Every going in, every single thing is thought through. You can feel the warmth in the staff. It's just such a beautiful
surfers
space.
Man.
Yeah.
They love the planet. Right, cool. Look, thank you, Nick. Enjoy your surfing when you next get up there. And we shall see you all soon. You can find Nick on vitamojo.com. If you need any more questions, they're on the marketplace. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.